Choose a HP.
Yeah.
On big screen.
Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah. Real. Thumbs up. Nope.
Nice to be here. Yeah, Justin said you're on the leadership team for.
I've never had this focus. We were actually reinvigorating community and sustainability. Nobody else is on Zoom. Testing. Always my first time.
Squeeze it in. I just want to make sure. Like, there's no way I can get that on there. Double check it.
Just pick the important parts
Oh,
and then
geez.
narrow that down to just one or two things.
Yes, that's really.
Oh.
What?
Wanted that for sure.
Oh, yeah, I'll take that for sure.
Do you have that brown bag? Was that your brown bag full of stuff that was on the table?
No, that was.
Should we start? And Andre's, once you can either say like, you're gonna be- Okay, well, thank you everybody for being here, especially with the relatively last minute change of plans on the start time. It's amazing you're still here to make it in person, and to everyone joining us online as well. My name is Deborah Brown and I'm the Executive Director of Good Business Colorado. And I just really quickly want to kick it to Valentina to give instructions for the prompts to use the Spanish interpretation services.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay? Okay, thank you. Wonderful. So, hola a todos, a todas y a todos. Mi nombre es Valentina y estoy aquí por parte de Community Language Co-op para ofrecerles interpretación en español. Si usted está en Zoom, está en línea, encontrará en un momentito que el botón de interpretación estará activado. Seleccione español cuando esté ahí y puede silenciar el lenguaje original. Si tiene algún problema con esta tecnología, yo estoy en Zoom también y me pueden mandar un mensaje directamente por el chat y podremos resolver el asunto juntas. Gracias. Thank you. And I'm just going to ask that you add me as an interpreter now, because the interpretation has been turned on, but I have not yet been added as an interpreter. And then we'll be all set.
The guy with two computers.
Jason, our Director of Membership and Communications, has been dealt all sorts of curveballs with the technology, but We are implementing our backup plan, so thank you for your patience as we are implementing our backup plan. Also with the lots of lessons. Maybe on the equitable. For people in the room, or is that gonna be part of your presentation?
Yeah, I'll just throw it in my presentation. Thanks.
We're trying to figure out the echo.
An opportunity.
Is it scary? You can live with it. Can you live with it? Okay,
Would it have anything to do with the microphones being on?
well, let's turn them off
I
and
just
see.
did.
Kel.
It shouldn't.
Okay.
I think it's because we're using our equipment meshed with elevations. Yeah, let's see if we can do that.
You wanna make sure-
We, and Andres, you're an interpreter. Excellent.
And maybe, hey, Deborah, maybe if anybody that's on Zoom right now mutes.
Yeah, if anyone in the room is on Zoom too, that is as close as you're gonna get to having, being able to be in two places at once, but if you can take your sound off entirely, that could be another reason.
Deborah, that's what she's saying right now. Let everybody
Okay. Good? All right, listen to that. No echo. Excellent. Okay, and we're set on the interpretation. Okay, cool. Do we need to add our email? Got it? Well, since we're waiting and we definitely want to wait to start the program until we can have the language equity piece in place. But let's use this extra time we have. Let's just go around the room and do a shout out of your company or your organization and your name so we know who's in the room. And let's get started over here, please.
My name's Dominic Rosacci. I'm with Superior Inc. Cam's representing us today, talking about what we do. So we're just here to support him and this great group. This is Noe. He came with us as well. He just started with us about a month ago. So we're excited to be here.
Great. And Andres is part of our team as well, also furiously trying to help us get this figured out. It's amazing to me, no matter how much testing you do, inevitably, like literally, my niece Amanda back there, we were on there on Zoom testing with the interpretation, testing how to get a Spanish recording, and alas, so thank you for your patience in dealing with us as we get this figured out. Let's go to you.
I'm Jeff Brown from the Still.
Sweet, thanks.
Trey Moxley, Alpine Bank.
Dustin Spears, Sustainable Living Association.
Becca Walkinshaw, Republic Services.
John Cafalas, Loudoun County.
Thanks, Commissioner. Come on in, grab some food. Also, if anyone hasn't had a chance, please feel free to, we have plenty of food.
Lopez, Tax to Green Recycling.
Niall Kenny, Alpine Bank.
Andrea Butler, BBB. Marcy Sharp, BBB.
Marcus Rasmussen.
And you saw the ingredient list.
Yes.
Yeah, so everybody knows there's also ingredient list for dietary needs back there.
Good. Javier Echeverria, City for Knowledge.
Vanessa McCran, Startup Colorado.
Awesome. Great to see so many folks, GBC members, representatives from government, and really great businesses joining us here today. So thank you so much. And on the Zoom, we have a group of people who can feel free to put your names and businesses in the chat. And LinkedIn, thanks. What are we doing? Okay, let's take a quick. Deborah, would you like me to run through the packet? Yeah, let's do that now, and then we can maybe also do it at the end for folks who join after the start time. Thank you. Great.
Okay, let's see. Where's a good place for me to be? Is this good?
You
All
are
right.
So y'all have a packet in front of you, and we've tried to assemble some useful takeaways for you. I, by the way, am Angelique Espinosa. I'm the Policy Director for Good Business Colorado, and it's lovely to see you all here. I want to extend a special thank you to Commissioner Cafalas for being here. So if anybody has a problem with anything, just bend his ear. Supply chain issues, whatever you want.
Perfect.
Okay, so on the very top, you'll find an event survey, which really helps us, especially with evaluating, helping us to be better, and also for our grant proposals and reports. So if you have a moment, that would be great. You can also do it online. If you enjoy this, or if you are interested in some other great topics, this colorful piece of paper has all the other programs that we'll have in our series. And then on the back, there's a few opportunities to take action with some QR codes that will take you to the places to do that. You'll find a really fantastic resource page. One is statewide, and actually, are these both statewide?
There should be one local to Fort Collins and then statewide. This is the statewide, and then I believe these are the local resources.
All right, so lots and lots of greening your business resources on this sheet. Then you're going to come to some policy-specific stuff. Here we have an advanced clean trucks information sheet. There is a policy in Colorado right now that will require, that could require manufacturers of trucks to make cool trucks for your businesses that are electric that you could consider buying. And since they're starting to put in all the electric infrastructure and the costs are coming down, that is going to be a very interesting rule. And if you want to find out more about it, or perhaps would like to tell the state why it would be awesome for you to be able to have an electric truck for your business, please just let me know. You'll see, again, a QR code on there to get a hold of me, and I'd be happy to plug you in. Then there's a quiz for the Healthy Families and Workplaces Act, which I'll bet nobody can get 100% on. But if you do, you get a gift card, and if you don't, you get free HR consulting. So it's win-win.
Chance at a gift card.
Chance at a gift card, but no one's gotten 100% yet, have they? They have,
A few.
all right.
TBC members, of course.
Yeah. It's kind of, complicated, and it intersects to some degree with paid family leave and medical insurance, which is on the back. So lots of good information on that. If you're wondering what the heck you are required to do for your employees, take a look and feel free to call me if you have questions. Then we have a flyer for Sustainability Leadership Program.
Yep, I can just touch on that real quick. Yeah, this is through the Sustainable Living Association. It's an 8-month program that we run every year, March to October, where we take business leaders on a deep dive into that triple bottom line of social, environmental, and economic responsibility, and how to take what they've learned and help drive sustainability within their organization. So taking applications for next year. I see a couple folks in here.
I'm an alumni, and it's a great program.
Yeah, see a few people who've been through it. So a little information on that for you.
And last but certainly not least, and relevant to today's presentation, is information on a plastic bag and polystyrene ban that was passed in 2021. And that is going to start rolling out pretty soon. So there's some information on that, on the kinds of businesses that are covered under the plastic bag ban, and when that is implemented, and how you can comply. And then also for styrofoam takeout containers, there is going to be there's going to be implementation so that those containers can't be used anymore after 2024. So we want to be getting ready for that and making sure that whatever alternatives you buy makes sense. So there's work still to do on that one. All right. Thank you so much for your attention, and again, all your patience. We're delighted to bring you these wonderful panelists, and
Thank you. And since we weren't able to get that part in Spanish, we'll do it again after and add that video. So thank you, Angelique, so much. And thanks everybody for, again, just being so flexible and accommodating. Again, I'm Deborah Brown. I'm the Executive Director of Good Business Colorado. And we're a grassroots organization of values-driven businesses working to build a more prosperous, equitable, and sustainable Colorado. A shout out to our members in the room. Thank you so much for being here, and on our panelists. What's been really cool about this series, so this Helping Good Businesses Be Better programming aims to meet business owners where they're at and provide access to educational programming, a community of peers, and opportunities to just really get in it and work on the things that can help make our businesses better, one practice at a time, and in partnership with each other, because we are our best teachers. So today's event is the second or the third part of our 10-part series. Thank you, Kelly. And we're hosting these events in communities across the state. So we kicked it off in Durango. We were in Grand Junction a couple weeks ago. We're here in Fort Collins. We'll be in Denver in 2 weeks. But all of these events are hybrid. As you can see, there is still a bit of a learning curve, even a couple years into the pandemic, with making all the technology work magically. But we are really, really committed to making these events accessible online and in person. So I would really like to thank our sponsoring organizations. Definitely wouldn't be able to do this without them. We have our series presenting sponsor, which is Bank of America, and they've been really incredible thought partners on this whole thing as well. And for today, we have Delta Dental is our event presenting sponsor. Delta Dental of Colorado, we believe our success is connected to the health and well-being of our team members, providers, customers, and the planet. We strive to do what's right even when no one is looking. We believe that doing good for the communities we serve and ultimately the planet is good business. It's critical to lessen our carbon footprint, protect the environment, and make a conscious effort to ensure the health of our planet and people. We're proud to be a supporter of Good Business Colorado and these innovative sessions to increase business value while doing good for the planet. If you grab the goodie bag, you will see that there is a bamboo toothbrush from Delta Dental in there, so please enjoy that. We would also like to thank, of course, Kelly at the Sustainable Living Association, and Vanessa, I see you there. So with the Downtown Authority, both organizations here on the ground in Fort Collins and have been tremendous partners in getting the word out to the local business community here. So thank you so much for that. And Nadine.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nadine Trujillo-Rogers, and I'm the Business Banking Sales Manager at Elevations Credit Union. Thank you for joining us in our beautiful community room today with a beautiful view of Old Town Fort Collins. Elevations Credit Union, we are a $3 billion not-for-profit financial institution. We have 16 branches and loan production offices from Fort Collins to the Denver Tech Center. And we have 170,000 members, and 8,000 of those are business members. So we have a full commercial lending group and a business banking group. Again, thank you for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the room.
Thank you so much. And the other series sponsors we have are Alpine Bank, Arc Thrift Store, Cigna, and we are really grateful to have all of them participating in this event series. Also, we're doing this in partnership with 35 partner organizations, and I'm going to try and speed read through them, but I think it's important to call them out because all of these organizations exist to serve business owners across the state. They wake up every day and they live to serve you. And so I want to make sure that as business owners in the room, you know how well you are supported and how many organizations there are, no matter where in the state you are located, to be able to access services and assistance to help your business thrive. So I'm very proud to be working with the Asian Chamber of Commerce, Be Civic, Be Local Colorado, B-Side Fund, the Buena Vista Chamber of Commerce, SEDS Finance, Colfax Business Improvement District, the Colorado Black Chamber of Commerce, the Colorado Women's Chamber of Commerce, the Denver Economic Development and Opportunity, DEDO, Downtown Colorado, Inc., the Downtown Development Authority, Vanessa, thanks again, Downtown Grand Junction, Entrepreneurship for All, Energize Colorado, Greater Pueblo Chamber, Local First, the Logan County Economic Development Corporation, Metro Deep, the North Metro Denver SBDC, the Partnership for Community Action, the Pueblo Latino Chamber of Commerce, the Rocky Mountain Microfinance Institute, the Salida Chamber of Commerce, Small Business Majority, Social Venture Partners, Startup Colorado, Sustainable Living Association, the Alliance Center, Regenerative Recovery Coalition, the American Sustainable Business Network, the Commons Latino Chamber of Commerce, and our newest sponsors, the African Chamber of Commerce and Community Shares of Colorado. Thank you to all those groups. You will have an opportunity to opt into the list for the groups that could be of service to your business if you take our post-event survey. Another thing that we are always striving to do at Good Business Colorado is improve our equity practices. So I'd like to invite up Andres, our Director of Restaurant Organizing, to do a land acknowledgement.
Hello. So we recognize that we are gathering today in Colorado, the land of the Ute, the Arapaho, the Cheyenne, and many other indigenous tribes who still live and travel here. We are committed to framing our work in the context of anti-oppression to the best of our ability. So please keep that in mind as we move forward. I think one of the most interesting principles, if folks want to read into how indigenous folks have already been caring for the land sustainably, is look into the 7-generation principle. All decision-making by some of these indigenous tribes was revolving around the fact that whatever decision we make today as a group needs to think about the considerations for folks 7 generations down in the same area. So get yourselves in that mindset. If you see practices that resonate with that, we encourage you to take that into your business. Thank you.
Thank you. And without further ado, I'll kick it over to our moderator for the day, Kelly.
Thanks so much, Deborah. Thanks for being here, everyone. Cam made it back just in time. I'm Kelly Fabo. I'm the Executive Director for the Sustainable Living Association. We're an educational nonprofit based here in Fort Collins, and we've been serving the Colorado region for 22 years now. We basically focus on educating people and communities to make healthy, sustainable choices. One of the projects we're working on right now that's really inspiring and relates to our topic today is we teamed up with the city of Fort Collins as a strategic lead partner to help reimagine the ClimateWise program for businesses. ClimateWise was a 20-year-long program that the city ran, and it was a free and voluntary program for businesses where they helped with energy, water, waste, transportation, social responsibility. And that program actually sunsetted as we know it in 2019. So we came on with the city to help reimagine this program for the future decades and what it can look like in terms of not only environmental protections and savings, financial savings for businesses, while really elevating that social component too. So really our goal in this new program is to engage a broader spectrum of businesses and organizations in climate action and to lead that process with equity, inclusion, and building a culture of community. So everybody knows how to access sustainable initiatives, why it's important, and what resources are available to them. So very exciting project that we're working on right now. Just to give you a little bit of information about us. And again, the Sustainability Leadership Program, we do offer that once a year. If you're looking for a very in-depth training opportunity, I encourage you to take a look at that. If you're online, you can learn more at our website, sustainablelivingassociation.org. We're not here to talk about me. We have 5 inspiring panelists with us today who are going to be talking with us about their businesses, their ideas, their practices, and what we'll do is we'll go ahead and let the panelists introduce themselves, and then after that we'll have plenty of time for Q&A from the audience here. So without further ado, I'd like to go ahead and Brad Stevens with Premiums for the Planet, if you want to get us kicked off. Sure. And you're welcome to stand or sit, use a microphone or not.
Okay, sounds good. Can everybody hear me all right? Yes. Great. So my name is Brad Stevenson, and I'm with Premiums for the Planet. And my impossible mission for today is in less than 5 minutes to take insurance, which is likely the most boring, uninteresting, and most overlooked topic in your organization, and make it riveting. That's right, riveting. Bring to your attention how it is one of the most pivotal topics in sustainability that we can be addressing. It's one of the biggest opportunities, and ideally to get you engaged. So I'm going to use my superpower, and I'm going to start with the most boring part, the numbers. Can we move to the next slide? Is there the next slide, please? So how many of your organizations spend money on insurance? Right, I mean, we all spend money on insurance. And how many people know how much? I mean, some of us. How many people know what happens with that money once you spend it? Say a few of us. But the reality is insurance companies for the most part, aren't living by seventh generation principles. And the money, our insurance premiums, the money that we spend every month or every year, whatever it is in insurance, which amounts to about $1.3 trillion a year, making insurers the second largest money managers on the planet behind only banks, has a massive impact. So when we think about what most of us are doing with our insurance, we're buying insurance to transfer risk, right? So if something goes wrong, somebody else pays for it. That's critical. That's why we all do it. But there's another really bigger role that insurance plays in sustainability that is often overlooked, which is where that money goes, and the fact that $582 billion of it is invested in fossil fuels, 90 billion of which is in coal. And insurance companies, for the most part, the vast majority are still not only funding those activities that we know we need to transition away from, but they're also insuring them. So with insurers being not only the second largest money manager, but also having the ability to decide what activities get insurance, we all know if you want to buy a home and you want a mortgage, you have to have a homeowner's policy. Insurance is critically important to any economic development. And so if we look at what are the things that are developing, what are the activities that are proliferating, insurance is a critical piece of that. So we can go to the next slide, please. So the second question is, what do we do, right? How do we change that status quo? It is a big, big status quo industry that is super entrenched. And what we do is we band together and we create a movement. We create a marketplace for better insurance and better insurers that inspires, with the same capitalism that got us where we are now, inspires a shift by creating a collective impact movement where together we aggregate and organize the collective influence and premium spend, insurance spend of climate conscious organizations. We can create a marketplace that moves the cheese, right? That inspires insurers to think differently about their we'll call it seventh generation principles. I love that. And both in what they invest in, what they divest from, what they insure or don't insure, how insurance policies are written to drive behavior, because insurance is a big behavioral driver, and all of these other things that are possible if we're strategic and if we organize effectively. Can we go to the next? That's the right one. Thanks. So our approach to that, our solution is a platform for collective impact for insurance. And there are two pieces of that. One piece is to make it easy and free without any sacrifice, where we can do all the work. So we've established a capability drawing upon some of the best brokerage organizations across the US to be able to serve the insurance needs of any organization with any coverage and anything that's currently being done in just the same way that any brokerage might. But we're an activist brokerage. So while it feels and looks and costs the same on the front end, on the back end, what we're doing is we're organizing that premium spend and aggregating it in a movement to go into the insurance industry and start to talk about, with leverage, the change that we can and need to make. The second part of the platform is to do that in a way that brings new value to insurance. Because right now, most of us, myself included, when I'm buying insurance, it's kind of this grudge purchase. It's this invisible risk spend that I have to make. We all have to spend money in order to have the insurance coverage, but what you get for it is the transfer of that risk. So we created a community of it, much like a Protect Our Winners or a 1% for the Planet, a membership organization and a community to organize this movement around, so that when you work with our activist impact insurance brokerage, our partners, when you come into this community, it comes with the badge of Premiums for the Planet, a program that you become a part of, and all of a sudden insurance went from an invisible spend to a climate leadership action that your organization has taken, can stand upon, and is proud to promote because of the impact that it can have, because of the scale that's possible if we do it together. So that's the nuts and bolts of it. We are moving really quickly. We actually did this in banking. And so we're able to draw upon a lot of the same relationships, the same strategic template and approach, and optimize it for how to change the insurance industry. But in the banking space, we sparked a movement in sustainable banking and moved hundreds of millions of dollars of major brand money from banks that had less aggressive, less thoughtful climate policy to those that had really toothy, advanced, progressive policy. So next slide, please. So we've got a great community that's already building, both channels, I would call our champions, our nonprofit organizations that stand beside us, co-educate and organize the movement. We've got some great brands that are on board. Brands is the center of influence for this. Because as an individual organization or a brand, right, you think about the access you have, whether it's your customers or constituents, your employees, your supply chains, the footprint of possibility for one organization getting involved makes scale very fast and very easy if we band together and if we do it right, and if we don't let this movement be fragmented. So I guess that's it. I don't know if where I'm at with time, but have I made it riveting? It is still insurance. Have I connected you to the possibility of how big the opportunity is with insurance and what we can do about it? And hopefully maybe brought you to engage. I would love to talk to anybody who's interested in having a further discussion. Please contact me. The last thing I'll end on is it's not just the dark side of how insurance is today, right? Shifting the status quo is a key part of this mission. The other part is the insurance industry has data, insights. Of any industry I know, they are more capable and have more insight into what we need to do to mitigate risk, probably than any other. The challenge is right now, the industry itself needs to reposition in order to sit beside those of us who are fighting for a different future, a brighter future, so that we're less transactional in our relationships and ultimately can be working together to figure out how we're going to solve this really big human problem. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Brad. We'll have time for questions. I already see a few floating around the room. Wonderful. Cam,
All right.
you're welcome to use the mic. Or
Beautiful. Let's go to the podium if we can. Testing 1, 2, 3, testing 1, 2, 3. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Cameron Johnson. I work for Superior Printing in Denver, Colorado, and I'm here to demonstrate who we are as a screen printing company and also how we are pioneering the sustainable practices within the textile industry. Okay, next slide, please. Awesome. So who is Superior Ink and what do we do? We are a premium screen printing, embroidery, and design shop. We are built by the craft. We are sustainably focused and quality driven. Next slide, please. Each and every day I come to work, I am super excited just to work with our customer base, to educate them on the practices of being sustainable and buying sustainable merch. Here we have two different t-shirts. On the left side, we have a 100% cotton made t-shirt. And on the right, we have an all-made t-shirt, which we're co-founders on. All-made is the most sustainable garment company on the market to date. We've been co-founders for about 3.5 years now, which has been a very exciting adventure for us. I'm going to start with the 100% cotton t-shirt. I'm not going to go through all the bullet points, but I just want to highlight a couple that are pretty alarming. So to make one cotton t-shirt, it takes 2,700 liters of water to make one. On average, I think the human being on a yearly basis only drinks about 1,000 liters of water. So if you think about it, your t-shirt's consuming more water than you are, which is mind blowing. When going with the all-made garment, you're saving 70% less water, which means more water for our environment, more water for the fishes to swim in, and more importantly, more water for us to drink. Next slide. So when you work with Superior Ink and work with All-Made, you really get to feel your impact. We put people, planet, and our environment before profit. So on our website, we have this really cool t-shirt impact calculator. So for instance, I have a tri-blend all-made t-shirt on. If I were to buy 100 at a time and have them screen printed, I would be saving 7,634 gallons of water. But we'd be also reducing 72 kilograms of CO2, and then also saving 22 pounds of recycled plastic, which is taking a lot of pollution away from our oceans and devastating our environment. Next slide, please. So Superior Ink Printing, we try to be a zero waste company, and we achieve this in 3 different ways. First, for all of our old recycled garments that we have no use for, we try to find and align ourselves with companies that recycle their garments in an efficient and sustainable way. For all of our old inks that we may not be able to use for future projects, we find companies around Denver and Colorado to recycle our inks instead of pouring them down the drain and having that go back into the landfill. And in the past couple of years, we have doubled down on our process and our production form. We have invested in state-of-the-line and efficient machinery that helps us be more efficient and less impactful on the environment. Next slide, please. As mentioned, we are quality driven. We've been able to work with hundreds of different brands and educate them on our sustainable practices and how they can reduce their carbon footprint within the textile industry. One of my favorite past projects that we did is this far image on the right. It's a skull on the right side and our Superior logo on the left. And right below it says death before going, which speaks volumes to us because again, we are trying to innovate and push the envelope with having sustainable materials that we screen print on. And not to knock Gildan and Haynes, but they pioneered the textile industry and have had devastating impact within the textile industry. So we're making great efforts to fix that problem. Next slide, please. So how do you do your part? I've always said clothes do not change the world. The people who wear them do. So 3 easy ways that you can do your part. First, when you're buying new clothes or buying any materials, buy responsibly. Align yourself with companies that have sustainable practices and source responsibly. When buying company merch, go with a screen printing company like us that have sustainable ways and sustainable morals and sustainable core values. Last, when donating clothes to any textiles, shoes, t-shirts, hoodies, whatever it may be, there's so many wonderful and great companies out there that recycle their garments in the right way, besides just having garments go to a landfill and pile up, which again is super devastating on our environment. Next slide, please. I thank you so much for me to be here and to share this breath of air with everyone, individuals and sustainable life businesses like us. If we continue to have these conversations and these group gatherings, we will one day, we will change the environment and the planet one t-shirt at a time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Clinton.
All right, I'm getting up. There's no way I'm gonna be able to sit still.
You should stay right there by the camera.
Should we stay by the camera?
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry, it's okay. No one's on me? With the
camera. Okay.
Oh, man. It's all good.
They can hear me. Can you guys? I'll send you this file. Can you guys hear me okay? Because I am soft spoken. Yeah. Yell at me if I'm not talking loud enough. Should I do this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, dang it. All right. I won't drop the mic until I'm done. Guys, I am Clinton Sander. I work with A1 Organics. I am the marketing manager for A1. I've been there with them for about 5 years or so. Go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay, I like this slide. That's me standing on top of a compost pile out in Kingsburg. But guys, before I jump into A1 Organics and talk about who we are, down at the bottom there it says soil equals food equals health. I truly believe when we are diverting organics as our mission, we are turning that into a reusable soil amendment called compost, which provides nutrients and health to the soil, which grows and produces quality food, which we then ingest, which gives us quality immune systems that fight off everything else that we need to fight off. It's all connected. It's one big circle. That's how it works. It's what Mother Nature's been doing for eons now. So it's important. Just that's my bubble. I'm going to stay on that for just a second. Okay, so go ahead and jump to the next slide. So A1 Organics, the slides are a little bit different than what's on the computer. That's okay. I got to move, guys. Sorry. So A1 Organics, we have been around for 48 years in the Colorado market. I don't know how many people in this room know who A1 Organics is. Okay. For those on Zoom, that was only about 10%. Here's a great statistic, guys. Colorado diverts 15% of their organics from Colorado landfills. The national average is about 35%. We're way behind. We do not divert enough organic material out of our landfills. A1 Organics processes 12% of the 15% that Colorado currently diverts from landfills. So we, like I said, we've been around 48 years and we process 425,000 tons of organics annually. We've been here for a long time and we kind of have set the expectations and the standards in the state. We've been a really great partner. 425,000 tons annually. That's 860 million pounds. If 58,000 full-grown elephants just ran through this room, that's how many organics have been composted. Again, that's only 12%. There's 40-some% of organics in the waste stream that is an opportunity to be diverted and turned into soil amendment called compost. So again, we also do, just to touch real quick, 30 million gallons of liquids. You may not think about liquids in the organic stream, but we do. Coors Brewing Company, for example, we process all of their brewery residuals. In Belgium, we've helped out them. Odell, we've helped out them. Lots of partners out there, guys. Lots of opportunity. Next slide. So let's just touch on two. There's a lot I could go in here, guys, for an hour at least easily, but we're diverting organic material. We see that it's a very important conversion goal. All of us in this room, we know a lot of things are coming down the pipeline. We want to make good choices. That's one of them, is converting organic material. But you got to remember why. And I want to touch on just on two things. One is methane reduction. We want to keep these materials out of Colorado landfills because 50% of it is methane, 50% of it is carbon dioxide that's created in this organic material put into a landfill. That's important. Awesome goal. Number two, we create a soil amendment called compost out of organic materials. A lot of people don't think about, okay, I'm diverting my organics, they're going to a good place, awesome. But that material is creating compost. It's made of 25 to 35% organic matter. Organic matter in your soil will retain 27,000 gallons per acre. 1% organic matter in your soil will contain 27,000 gallons of water. Do we have a drought in Colorado? Is water important in Colorado? Yes. So one key thing to think about when you think about compost and why it's so valuable. Next slide. Two, we talked in the beginning about it's connected, it's a circle. Microorganisms. Compost has just 1 cup of healthy soil. Compost, that's compost. Look how many numbers of microorganisms are living in that 1 cup of healthy soil. We know healthy probiotics, we know eating probiotics in your stomach, having a healthy gut fights off immunities or fights off illnesses and things of that nature. Same thing with your soil. It's the same concept, the same idea, guys. Healthy soil is living and alive and generating and taking care of itself. It produces organic matter, pulls carbon out of the air. A lot of us want to get carbon out of the air. This is all connected. Next slide. So just real quick, guys, bottom line, I could go on for this for a long time, but bottom line, how much water you need in your soil is directly related to the organic matter present in your soil. Colorado soils have 1.2% organic matter on average. Get it up to 3 or 4% based off of the diversion of organics you're taking from your company, bring back the compost, use it in the opportunities you can, or take care of the neighbors. Tremendous, tremendous opportunities. Okay, next slide. But what I want to get to real quick, guys, is, again, I was thinking about all the things I could talk to you guys about. They want to get into what we've been doing, but contamination has the opportunity to take our success and stop it 100%. When I'm talking about contamination, is I'm talking specifically within what we call source separated organics. So food waste, generated food waste coming out of commercial companies, coming out of residential homes, that area where you're you're trying to get your banana peel, your compostable container, and oh, I wonder if that works. Not sure. Oh, we'll throw it in there. Oh, I forgot to put the food sticker off. Oh, don't worry. A1 Organics will get it out. It'll be okay. So like that area of organics diversion, which is really becoming popular because of these reasons right now, what's driving the cart, circular economies, climate change, policy changes, among other, single-use plastic replacement. A lot of things, fertilizers are not sustainable, we know this. So this is driving these initiatives to divert more food waste, but contamination can shut this whole thing down because we've been diverting and processing this stream for 12 years now. And it's hard, guys. And we've made a commitment as a company, to continue doing it, that we can't have contamination. We spend millions of dollars to get the contamination out. Did anybody come to the composter, commercial manufacturer, and say, hey, is it all right if I contaminate the stream 5%? You got this, right? You can get it out? No, it can't be that. It's got to stay out, period. It's got to go back to the generator. We got to educate and work together as a group. I love the second generation. Fantastic. We work as a group to make this happen. So next slide. So what's contamination look like, guys? That slide didn't look very good on this picture, but that is 3 windrows. You see all the lightweight plastic material on top of those windrows? Windrow is a compost pile, guys. Commercial compost pile. That's what it is. Next slide. What's causing it? Lookalikes. Things that we think are compostable, they are not compostable. Greenwashing. Things that are called biodegradable. Biodegradable does not mean compostable. All it means is it breaks apart into smaller little pieces. That's it. It's not compostable. So, and then again, of course, composters, we got this. Next slide. Guys, more contamination. Didn't take the meat out of the plastic box. Guys, that's a couch cushion. That's a vacuum cleaner. I think that's compostable. I hope not. Next slide. Guys, here's a good example. This is true. I did this 3 weeks ago. And I've been working really hard with all of our haulers to report back information so we can make a difference, not just shut it down. That came out of 1 semi-truck. That's about 2 to 3 cubic yards of trash and a 45 cubic yard load of green waste material. You don't want that. Guys, small usable containers. Reusable containers. Problems. Next slide. That's a TV. Next slide. Green bags do help divert organic waste because it's a convenience factor. Do all of them break down the same way? No. Can we see the contamination inside that bag when it shows up at A1 Organics? No. Do we have the ability to go through every bag at A1 Organics? No. This is what's inside that bag. Plastic, blue gloves, plastic. It's what I'm trying to give you guys is a big picture is it's going to take all of us to clean up this stream and do it the right way. But it's the organic stream. This is a natural resource that provides so much more benefit to Colorado soils, can help us with water, can help us reduce so many amazing things that we need to take care of here in Colorado. Next slide. How does it affect us, compost manufacturer again? So fruit stickers, remember I was talking about fruit sticker? Guys, fruit stickers will not compost. They will not get out. We cannot screen them out. They're going to make it their way all the way through the compost pile and it's going to be your finished compost. But I can talk to you about it and I can say, guys, that was fruit, that was vegetable, we composted. You're like, yeah, that makes complete sense. Okay, pick it up, it's out of the garden. No big deal. Well, you get the point. Glass will not get out. We cannot get it out. It will end up in the finished compost. It is a safety hazard. Do you want to put compost down on your ground with glass in it? For your kids to play in the summer on the grass? You want to do that? No, you don't. So glass is a zero tolerance, just cannot happen. Next slide. I'm moving quickly. So guys, as a compost manufacturer, this is where it's challenging for us. We want to continue to divert these materials because we know they're so valuable, but not at the point of a value proposition where dirty compost versus clean compost. You're going to buy the clean compost, but you don't want to buy the dirty because it's contaminated. not sustainable for us as a business, makes it really challenging. Next slide. And this is true, on it, responsibility and on it, 7th generation. I love this whole, the whole thing that both of you guys have already touched on as well. We, everybody in this room who's potentially thinking about diverting organic material or setting new policies in the city or getting new programs ready for the residents to do curbside and food waste recycling, know the end at the beginning. We can do this all together. You got me here that can tell you and help you educate and show you how and what works and what doesn't. And then we can push that education forward, and then we can monitor and we can watch. And the goal is the compost, because it's just fantastic stuff. So next slide. Keep the stream clean, guys. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Nice job.
Dave, you want a mic or?
Oh.
Want a mic?
Oh, I didn't drop it. I forgot
I
to
think I'm
drop it.
okay. I don't need it, I don't think, but
Okay.
you guys can hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, great. I guess good afternoon. My name is Dave Goldschmidt. I'm with Tires to Green Recycling. I'm the general manager there. We started up our facility in February of last year. Currently, we're on pace to do about 1.8 million tires this year. Would you mind bringing up the page for me? Oh, sorry. Actually, here.
Yeah, he's got 3 computers.
Thank God I'm not in Compost, because that sounds like an incredible challenge they have ahead of them. Yeah. So just want to touch base on what we're doing right now. So there's several products that we can make with shredded tires. Essentially, what we do is we take whole tires. In our first cut, we take it down to a 3-inch chip. From a 3-inch chip, we bring it down to basically powder. All those sizes in between are what we're doing. And basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to expand end markets so that people can use these products instead of what is currently being used. Dave, what are you guys using for tires right now? What are you doing with the end product? About 70% of all the tires that are generated in the state and about 75% of all the tires generated in the country are being burned. Doesn't sound very great, right? And what you're doing there is, in lieu of coal, you can mix about 15 to 18% of your coal feedstock with tires. So, okay, great, you're not mining coal, but at the same time, you're still burning tires, right? So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create products that you can do, that you can make higher value goods out of. One of the products that we're working with right now, so you can see here, we've got the products that we're talking about here. Sorry, I'm gonna walk away from the camera as well. So TDF is the big product that we're talking about, right? 70% of all tires go into that market. ADC is alternative daily cover. I think Republic Waste is out here, is that right?
Yes, yes.
Yep, so yeah, ADC, alternative daily cover, basically what you're doing there, you're taking trash, layer of tires, trash, layer of tires, and it helps basically break down the trash. The other products, the byproducts would be fiber, for example, so that would go into like carpeting, things like that. And then steel, obviously you can actually bring that to a smelter, they can break it down and basically make new make new steel out of it, steel billets. The real areas that we're trying to focus on here are going to be micronized, crumb rubber, and mulch. I'm sure everybody here is familiar with rubber mulch, at least a little bit. Playgrounds, landscaping applications, things along those lines. But probably where you guys are a little missing would be, or the information would be micronized powder and crumb rubber. So what we're doing with these 2 products is actually really exciting. Crumb rubber, we're actually making molded goods, compressed and extruded goods. We're working with a company right now that's making K-rails. I don't know if you guys are familiar with a big cement K-rail down the middle of the road, the median. Those are typically made out of cement, anywhere from 1 to 1.5. Sorry, disregard that. What we're trying to do is we're making those out of rubber now, not us, but we're supplying the rubber. And what we're trying to do is trying to build the end markets so that we can continue to build off of goods like that. Micronized crumb rubber, basically we're taking, that's going to be like under a millimeter in size. So you can use that with like extrusion molding. I'm working with a customer that's using it in plastics and rubber together, and they're making PVC equivalent pipe out of it. So what we're trying to do again is we're just trying to build these higher value markets so that we can continue to make these products and we don't have to burn tires anymore. With the company that we're working that does K-rails, we're working a developmental product as well, where they're after those products have met the end of their life, we re-shred those, make it into another powder, and they get used another time. Okay. One of the other things that I really want to touch on, I know with Colorado, with the organization here today, Good Business, one of the things that they propose or they've got connections with would be policy making. In 2016, I was part of a policy with the state where what they were doing is they were incentivizing companies to use crumb rubber products. And they made a tier system based on, hey, if you use this size product, you get this amount of money. If you use this size product, you get this amount of money. What we're trying to do is we're trying to ultimately make it so that the higher value the product is, say if I got to take it down to a powder where it's my most expensive product, the state gives you more money as opposed to right now what we're doing is we're subsidizing fuel, where if they're burning it down in a cement kiln, for example, again, we're subsidizing the fuel and we're trying to get away from that so that we continue to build higher value products instead of having to do the volume side of 3-inch chips. Yeah, that's basically all I got. What I'm trying to say is we're trying to be a responsible tire recycler. There's not many people out there like us in the region. There's maybe 5 people from Montana down to Texas that do what we do. We want to be the staple. We want to be the, I guess the shining light for tires in the region, I guess, and take it from there. So that's what we got. Thanks, guys.
Rachel,
Hey,
so you know where the camera is.
I do, and I don't have
Right.
slides, so I can stay here.
Okay.
Let's see, which should I step back? There, cool. This owl is so cool, right? It really helped us in a couple other GBC. I'm always so fascinated. It's also a little creepy, but. So yeah, hey guys, I'm Rachel. I'm from Simple Switch. We're an online marketplace for ethically sourced and sustainable products. So you'll see on some of our little cards in the back, it essentially says easy online shopping like Amazon, but sustainably and ethically sourced, not like Amazon. So the reason that we got started, we're a 4-year-old business here in Colorado in Denver, is because I was a really frustrated consumer who was really excited about the idea of, voting with my dollar and making a positive social and environmental impact, and was super hype about it, really well-intentioned, super motivated, had the means to buy the products. And immediately when I made a commitment to start doing that, realized it's so difficult, just terribly difficult to find the things that you're looking for, right? I would spend hours looking for the right pair of pants that had the right, fiber certifications and all sorts of things. And is it really made by, children in sweatshops? Is it really gonna be compostable at end of life? Like, what am I looking for here? At the same time, online shopping, Amazon's a great example, but certainly not the only one, was getting easier and easier, but in my opinion, a lot less transparent. And so it was a lot easier to get what you needed, shipped to your door, which I love as a busy person, always overcommitted, don't need to worry about going shopping, but oftentimes it wasn't in line with my values. So yeah, that was about 7 years ago, but we've been in sales for 4 years now, selling to mostly consumers, but in the last year or so transitioning to also including businesses, because where we see, I was joking, instead of slides, I brought toilet paper. So, but brought some of my best sellers just to kind of give an idea. These are some of our best sellers for customers, individual customers as well as businesses, but something like a toilet paper is by far our best seller. It's always a funny conversation starter. Essentially, if a consumer is switching over to this is sustainable bamboo toilet paper, ton of virgin trees, some farmed for toilet paper, some not, are cut down, unfortunately, for toilet paper, right? We don't want to literally flush them down the toilet. So making the simple switch to some alternatives that are more sustainable can be hugely valuable for someone like me in my own bathroom, but for someone like Elevation's Credit Union, hugely valuable, right? If you and your employees and your customers are making these simple switches, that's where the impact gets really big. So yeah, we have, just like I said, for examples, toilet paper, paper towels, tissues are all bamboo. These are laundry detergent. So one of our favorite B2B clients is actually my hairdresser, a B Corp in Denver. And they have to do like 6 loads of laundry a day or something because of their capes. I don't know what they're called. Seems like capes, right? And so instead of buying plastic jugs of laundry detergent, they buy our laundry sheets so that they're able to just toss one in. So saves like, I should have done the math before I got here, right? But this one has 52 loads of laundry. So for an average consumer, that might be about a year, but for them, I mean, they're saving hundreds of plastic jugs, not to mention the emissions from the weight of those jugs being shipped with all the water included. Another one of my favorite examples is hand soap. So instead of buying all individual plastic bottles for your business or for your home, this is a shipped zero waste plastic or plastic-free hand soap concentrate, can be cut into 8 pieces. So this bar alone makes 8 of these foaming hand soaps, and that can go in your home or business. So these are just a few of my favorites, but we sell more than 5,000 products. Jason, if you want to pull up Simple Switch, I would love that. No pressure. I know I was I was in the East Coast until yesterday, so I was a little underprepared sending my materials, but at least we have some fun stuff to show off. Essentially our goal is to normalize this kind of spending, right? It just shouldn't be so difficult for people to be buying what's sustainable, buying what is socially impactful, buying things that your customers want to see from you, right? A lot of us as companies have made commitments to our customers, to our employees for retention, to have better social and environmental impact. And one of my favorite things about these panelists, I'm like totally fangirling and getting excited about what they're talking about, is a lot of the people here, and this is what we try to do, is kind of take on the dirty work or the behind the scenes work to make sure that it's adoptable for you guys as business owners or employees or individuals to be making this sustainable action. So, I mean, like the insurance industry, I super don't understand the insurance industry, but it makes sense to me that it has a lot of financial power. And so if I'm able to do, the vetted work to make sure that's sustainable, or I'm like a huge compost nerd because I'm a big vegetable gardener. And so I want to make sure I have that organic material. And I have really done a deep dive on A1 because I love what you guys do. But for them to do that dirty work so that all of us don't need to have, this super scientific knowledge of how that process works. So for us, what that looks like is doing the work for you and for individuals and businesses to pretty much automate and make simple the buying process. So, it's .org.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're good. This is fun. Always good for me to see how this process goes. We're .org because the .com is $150,000 and rising right now. So if you know anyone who wants to buy it for us, but if you go to that business ordering page there on the far right, this is something, like I said, that we've expanded to more recently, and we just brought on a head of product to be focusing on just this. So if you guys go on and you're looking to order for your business, or even if there's a business that you frequent, like a restaurant or a small business here in Fort Collins, that you would love to see them make some simple switches to be more sustainable, you can find most of the information here. But I would love your feedback as well. And that is on my card and the cards we have here. And the last thing I want to say is that I love someone used the phrase proud to promote. I think I'm actually forgetting. If you have these policies that are making you more sustainable, like I mentioned, for your employees, for your customers, you're probably going to want to promote that. So we also provide some promotional materials so you can really show what is the impact of what you're doing. That could come in the form of something for your newsletter or blog, a sign for your physical location, kind of whatever works for you guys. But we want to make sure, yeah. So we have a few like suggested collections here, but I think every business is super different. So if you guys have any questions or want to send me a list of consumables you buy every month, I can help you guys find those things. But anyways, that's what we do, and super excited to hear more about what you guys do as we continue to network.
That's so much greatness into little pockets. Well, fantastic. Now that we've heard from our panelists, we have time for some questions from the audience. Take a little deeper dive into, some of their structures, the efforts that they're undertaking. Do we have any questions from the audience for our panelists? Yes, John.
Yeah, thank you, Kelly. The A1 Organics person.
Clinton.
So
Yeah.
we have a solid waste implementation master plan for Hardin County. And I don't know how connected you are to that, but our goal is to have 40% diversion by 2025 and ultimately 80% diversion once we deploy other kinds of technologies. But my understanding from our solid waste director is that composting food waste is a lot more complicated, challenging than composting yard waste. Is that correct, and why is that?
That is correct. And that's why I'm happy to see that Fort Collins is going to roll out
We're
their,
not for count.
well, let me restate. When you roll out a plan to provide curbside recycling for organics, starting with yard waste is the best place to start because the amount of contaminants that can be put into that opportunity is a lot less, and it's easier for the residential homeowner to kind of understand, okay, if it's once living, it's a branch, it's a leaf, it's yard, it's yard waste, it's grass clippings. That makes sense. It goes into the bin. That's what goes in the bin. It is when you introduce food waste with compostable materials that don't break down in the time they need to break down because they're not field tested is problematic. And it gets really confusing because our marketplace has so many opportunities and there's no way to identify them accurately unless you, the homeowner, does the research by going to a website, finding the product that's certified CMA, and then go find it in a store somewhere. Very hard to do.
Well, I'm talking about the big picture. So we're doing solid waste, we work with the municipalities, we don't do, we work with the commercial haulers, but we are looking to develop a composting facility as part of our solid waste
Infrastructure.
management. We just put out some RFPs.
Mhm. Oh, I know.
So hopefully you're paying attention.
Yes, we're very aware. Yes. Yeah. Yes, I mean,
I'm a big composter and I appreciate whenever I tell people to take the little labels off the banana peels, they're like, what? I said, no, take the little labels off the banana.
and we got to take it a step further and explain why. Like why you take the banana peel off, because we can't get it out. Is it the responsibility of the compost manufacturer to remove it from the compost stream? No, it starts at the generator level. But it's going to take all of us to change that and make that education available. It's not, because ultimately, guys, it could be like it could be other states in this country that all of a sudden have just said no. They've stopped. They will not take compostable materials. They will not do a food waste stream because the contamination for the manufacturer on our end to handle it is too much. And like I said, the value proposition at the end of the finished compost, people aren't going to buy it because they think it's dirty. So you can't, we have to have both ends. If we can't sell the product, we're not going to do it. It's just how it is. So we got to do it right in the beginning. And that's what's exciting about Larimer County. You guys are thinking about the end at the beginning, and that's really important.
Thank you, Clinton. Thank you,
Mhm.
Commissioner Cavallis.
I'd also like to acknowledge there's a second commissioner here.
Where?
Where?
Over there, we should give her a shout out.
Oh, hi. Would you like to introduce yourself real quick for us? You must have snuck in.
Yes, I snuck in. A little bit of a dumpster fire to take care of before I got here.
Uh-oh.
I'm Larimer County Commissioner Jody Scheibig Valley, and I serve the whole county, but I live in the southern part of the county. It's great to be here, and I live on 3 acres west of town, and I do regenerative agriculture and things like that. So,
Wonderful.
So welcome, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks, John. For
Yes. Yeah,
we are
thank you.
interested. We are trying to get policy in the county. We're trying to be a zero waste county, so it's a priority for us. So
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you, Jody. So glad you could be here today.
Yeah.
Yeah, our organization's been working closely with Heidi, who is rolling out the Climate Smart project for Larimer County. And we've been working closely with her as we are reimagining the sustainable business program for Fort Collins. So we've gained a lot working together and to help elevate, these ideas and options regionally and then statewide. It's pretty powerful. So thanks for that. Other questions?
What's your name with insurance?
Brad Stevenson,
And what's the insurance company?
Premiums for the Planet.
Okay, so I was curious, when you pay a premium and you say it goes into fossil fuels, and a lot of insurance companies are not necessarily ethical with where the money goes, can you explain a little bit about like what that platform or that kind of coalition of, insurance companies doing things ethically would, like, what would that entail? I'm just curious as to like, why they're investing in fossil fuels. They just have so much abundance of extra money on policies that don't get used, that it gets put into investments. And a lot of times those aren't like environmentally focused investments. So how would what would that look like for you guys? The way I see it is almost working with I'm sorry, what's your name?
Rachel, Simple Switch.
Rachel. Yeah, so like companies that claim to be a philanthropist and donate, X amount of their revenue to causes that may not go anywhere. It's almost like they need to invest those dollars into shopping smarter and buying the right materials. So is it kind of something like that where you're making a pledge to do things more ethically, or how's that work?
Yeah, I'll explain. So from the member side, from the insured side, like any climate conscious organization that wants to make sure that its insurance spend is not. An example we used when we worked with big companies in banking, like Patagonia as an example, is, hey, on Sunday, you protested Arctic drilling. Awesome. On Monday, you banked with, take any top big bank that still is funding a lot of those things. On Tuesday, you just funded what you protested on Sunday. Right? It's really straightforward. And so I want to use the word ethical, and I want to separate that, because I think ethical implies a whole different set of business practices. We're talking about aligned values. Right now, we're in a country where 50% of people may not believe that climate change has anything to do with human activity, and another 50%, right? So to keep it from being polarizing, what I'm saying is if your organization has a set of values specific to stopping climate change and believes that it's human caused and we need to stop doing things like tar sands, Arctic drilling, coal mining, et cetera, then it behooves you and your consumers that your probably brand is appealing to align this really big. We spend more on insurance than we do on most other things. It's anywhere from 1% to 5% of top line revenue gets spent on insurance. And that's not health insurance and benefits. That's literally just like general liability, professional liability, your automotive fleet, all of that. So it's a tremendous amount of money. And so to the other part of your question, there are 5 pillars really that we're looking at when we evaluate, rate, and rank the insurance. So I don't know if you have the insured, which is our businesses. You have an insurance brokerage, which is in the middle, helping that business figure out what kinds of insurances it needs, where it can get those insurances. You have the insurance carrier or underwriter, which is providing the actual financial insurance product, and we pay the claim, right? Just to simplify it. So what we're doing is saying for those insurance carriers, we look at what you disclose, right? Are you actually even disclosing information about where you're invested and what you're insuring?
Yeah.
What do you divest from? There's 2 different things. And invest, important, but divest, even more important. Because right now it's too easy to just keep investing in and ensuring the status quo things that are destroying the planet, because they make a lot of money. And I'll go back to the banking work for a second. We got behind a bank that wanted to start a movement. They said, banks, the biggest banks on the planet have lost their way. In many cases, they're not community stewards anymore. They're not really thinking about whether what they're funding and therefore developing in our economies is 7th generation.
Yeah.
Right? It's profitable or it's not. And when we're that mercenary with that much money, we're a market economy. What gets funded gets done. And what you insure gets funded and can operate. And so transparency or disclosure, divestment, both in funds and in coverages. There's a lot of import to how insurance policies are written and how claims are handled. So an example would be if you have a retail store and your insurance policy says in order for a theft coverage, like for you to make a theft claim, you have to have a camera in the corner of your retail store. You install the camera, right? Take it simply, our health insurance. I don't know about everybody else, but for me, my doctors are the ones that are chosen for me by my insurance carrier on my list. Whether I'm going to buy a name brand medication or a generic, it's what the insurance company decided it was going to be. There's a lot of behavioral leverage in how insurance policies are written. They drive a lot of what we do. And the same with claims, how you rebuild something. If a policy says if your house gets burned down, there's provision for you to rebuild it in a more sustainable way, that could drive a lot of change.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Right. And then the other piece is we're talking about massive companies, the 800-pound gorillas, right? If they are for legislation it gets done. If they're against legislation, it gets hard. And then finally, investment. And I only put investment last because it's kind of the easiest. It's easy if you're a massive insurer to talk about all the money you're putting into solar energy. But if you're putting even more into coal at the same time, it's a little, it's not the kind of transparency. It's not accomplishing the end result that we need.
Yeah.
So does that help? That's the way we think about trying to organize this movement of climate conscious companies that are trying to do good in all the ways that they can. Make it literally cost nothing, take no effort, and be able to divert this massive, it's like diverting organic waste. They'll take this massive stream that already exists and just put it in a better place and build a different reality with insurers. Did I answer your question, right?
I'm getting so excited. Wonderful. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad. I'm looking at the clock. It's 12:49. We have time for one more question. Okay. You had your hand up, sir.
Yeah, I just had a quick question piggybacking off that, but if somebody has a better question, they could definitely. So you said that with your insurance claim, if somebody was to lose their house, like the forest fires that happened or the fire down in Boulder, you can build them sustainable, passive. Is that kind of what you're saying? Like if their home was not before energy efficient, passive home like that, because I know energy efficient passive homes are quite a bit more expensive. Will an insurance company be able to come into a non-passive energy efficient home and create a new passive energy efficient home for that person that's insured?
Okay, so first I want to say that's I wanted to give a concrete example of the kind of consideration that we should have from an insurance company and the kinds of products it can create. So that's a great example. And yes, that's the kind of policy rider amendment that we want to see insurance companies have, which is separate from the insurance company that we want to source that from is one. So it doesn't help us if we go to an insurance company that is still doing all of these, insuring all these things we want to stop, but they have a great green rider on their homeowners policy. We want to go to the insurance company that aligns with our values and their being. It's not just their product, and then source that better product that rebuilds it better from that.
Gotcha.
So it's both.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yep.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks again, Brad. Well, we wish we could sit here and have a conversation all day long, but we do need to bring this conversation to a close. I want to thank all of our panelists for making the time to be here today. We do have contact information for all of them available, so feel free to reach out, follow up questions, link arms, join together in the fight, whatever you need to do. Deborah?
Yeah, so if you're on Zoom, you will get a link to a survey. And everyone in the room, you have these beautiful packets that Angelique, our director of policy, so kindly walked us through this morning. On the very top of that pile is the survey from today's event. I must tell you, we are a member-led organization and we live and breathe by the data on those surveys. So please, please, please take 2 minutes to complete the survey and tell us what you liked about the event, how we can do things differently for the future ones. Also, just want to give another huge round of applause and appreciation for our panelists for joining us today. And to our partner organization, the Sustainable Living Association and the Downtown Authority of Fort Collins, as well as that long list of amazing organizations. On your survey, there's that checkbox where you can join the list of any of those groups so you can be directly connected with those organizations that live and breathe to serve business owners across the state. Also want to give a huge shout out to the guy with that 1.3 computers, Jason. Making the magic work in like an unpredictable world where the technology we had didn't work. He was able to figure out the backup plan. So thank you, Jason. Andre's back there, our photographer and director of organizing. And again, thank you all so much for your time, for being here today. We know that people are likely going to want to talk and mingle. There is a meeting coming in right at 1, which is why we had to move things up. But please feel free to join us right outside the building. Maybe if folks even want to mosey on to a local coffee shop, but we want this to be the start of the conversation, not the end. So thank you again, all of you, so much for your time, for joining us today, for our elected officials, and to all of you. Is there a suggestion for a local somewhere that some of us could go if people want to stick around? I'm just not from Fort Collins.
Yeah, I would love to do, I would love
Yeah.
to gather somewhere. where you
Lima
can hang.
Coffee's not too far. That's a
What's it
nice
called?
spot. Lima Coffee.
We're going to Lima Coffee if you want to keep the conversation going.
Or if somebody's got a closer spot.
I don't know where Lima Coffee is.
Oh,
It's just right up the road.
Oh, just right at
Yeah,
College?
it's like,